Hey guys, welcome back to Click Academics. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to solve this exponential problem. And make sure to stick to the end of the problem where I have 3 bonus problems that are similar to this one, which you guys can try to solve. Alright, so I have 8 to the power of 16 plus 8 to the power of 16. So for my solution, eight here, this is the same thing as 2 to the power of 3. So now, if I go ahead and substitute in 2 to the power of 3 for 8, I get 2 to the power of 3 to the power of 16 plus 2 to the power of 3 to the power of 16. So now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is the same thing as a to the power of m times n. So these two simply just multiply. So in this case, I have 2 to the power of 3 to the power of 16. So we can think of a as 2, m as 3, and n as 16. So this would be equal to a to the power of m times n. So 2 to the power of 3 times 16, and 3 times 16 is equal to 48. So now I have, 2 to the power of 48. So now I have 2 to the power of 48 plus 2 to the power of 48. So now from here, if I factor out 2 to the power of 48, I get 2 to the power of 48 times 1 plus 1, because 2 to the power of 48 divided by 2 to the power of 48 is 1. Now 1 plus 1, that's equal to 2. So now I have 2 to the power of 48 times 2. Now 2 here, this is the same thing as 2 to the power of 1. And now if I have something in the form a to the power of m times a to the power of n, this is equal to a to the power of m plus n. So 2 to the power of 48 times 2 to the power of 1, this is equal to 2 to the power of 48 plus 1, which is equal to 2 to the power of 49. So this is my answer. Alright, so I have 3 to the power of x plus 3 to the power of x plus 3 to the power of x is equal to 1. So I want to find the value of x here. So for my solution, first start with 3 to the power of x plus 3 to the power of x plus 3 to the power of x is equal to 1. Now the first thing I'm going to do is, for my left-hand side, I'm going to factor out 3 to the power of x. So now I have 3 to the power of x times 1 plus 1 plus 1 is equal to 1. Now if I simplify what's in the parentheses, I get 3 to the power of x times 3 is equal to 1. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m times a to the power of n, this is equal to a to the power of m plus n. So we can think of 3 as 3 to the power of 1. So 3 to the power of x times 3 to the power of 1, that's going to equal 3 to the power of x plus 1, which is equal to 1. So now, anything to the power of 0 is actually equal to 1. And because we want these two to be the same bases, I'm going to change 1 to 3 to the power of 0. So now I have 3 to the power of x plus 1 is equal to 3 to the power of 0. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m is equal to a to the power of n, this means that m is equal to n. So in this case, x plus 1, this is equal to 0. So now to solve this, all I have to do is subtract 1 on both sides. These two cancel out. Now I'm left with x is equal to 0 minus 1, which is negative 1. So now to check, I have 3 to the power of x plus 3 to the power of x plus 3 to the power of x is equal to 1. So now if x equals negative 1, I have 3 to the power of negative 1 plus 3 to the power of negative 1 plus 3 to the power of negative 1 is equal to 1. Now if I have something in the form a to the power of negative n, this is the same thing as 1 over a to the power of n. So 3 to the power of negative 1, that's going to equal 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3, which is equal to 1. Now 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3, that's equal to 3 over 3, which is equal to 1. 3 over 3 divided by, 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I have 1 over 1, 1 equals 1, which is right, so my solution is right. Alright, so I have x squared minus 1 is equal to x minus 1 squared. So right here, I want to find the value of x. So for my solution, I first start with x squared minus 1 is equal to x minus 1 squared. Now, x squared minus 1, this is the same thing as x squared minus 1 squared, because 1 is the same thing as 1 squared. So now I have x squared minus 1 squared is equal to x minus 1 squared. Now, if I have something in the form a squared minus b squared, this is equal to a plus b times a minus b. So in this case, x squared minus 1 squared, this is going to equal x minus 1 times x plus 1. And now this is equal to x minus 1 squared. Now, x minus 1 squared, this is the same thing as x minus 1 times x minus 1, because it's just x minus 1 twice. So now, if I subtract both sides by x minus 1 times x minus 1, I get x minus 1 times x plus 1 minus x minus 1 times x minus 1 is equal to 0. Now if I factor out x minus 1, I get x minus 1 times x plus 1 minus x minus 1. This is equal to 0. Now it's equal to x minus 1 times x plus 1 minus x plus 1, which is equal to 0. Now these two x's cancel out, and I'm left with 1 plus 1, which is equal to 2. So I have x minus 1 times 2 is equal to 0. Now if I divide both sides by 2, these two cancel out, so I'm left with x minus 1 is equal to 0. So now if I simply add 1 on both sides, I get x is equal to 1. So this is my answer. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to solve the equation x to the power of 2 minus x to the power of 3 is equal to 80. So to solve this equation, I'm going to first start by subtracting 80 on both sides. So now I get x to the power of 2 minus x to the power of 3 minus 80 is equal to 0. Now from here, I'm going to replace 80, negative 80, I should say, with negative 16 minus 64. Now I'm going to rewrite this as, I'm going to first rewrite negative 16 as negative 4 squared and negative 64 as negative 4 to the power of 3. And I'm going to group x squared with negative 4 squared and x to the power of 3 with negative 4 to the power of 3. So now there's two properties that I'm going to use. And before that, I'm going to write this as x squared minus 4 squared, and I'm going to group this minus x to the power of 3 plus 4 to the power of 3. We put this plus because this negative sign distributes. Now, if I have something in the form a squared minus b squared, this is equal to a plus b times a minus b. And if I have something in the form a to the power of 3 plus b to the power of 3, which is this is equal to a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. So for x squared minus 4 squared, it's going to turn into x plus 4 times x minus 4. I have this minus a to the power of 3 plus b to the power of 3, or in this case, x to the power of 3 plus 4 to the power of 3 is going to turn into x plus 4 times x squared minus 4x plus 16. Now, because both of these terms have x plus 4 in them, I can factor out x plus 4. So I get x plus 4 times x minus 4 minus x squared minus 4x plus 16 is equal to 0. Now from here, this is equal to x plus 4 times x minus 4 minus x squared plus 4x minus 16. I just distribute the negative sign, is equal to 0. And let's simplify this even more. I get x plus 4 times negative x squared plus 5x minus 20 is equal to 0. So I get two equations from this. I get x plus 4 equals 0, and negative x squared plus 5x minus 20 is equal to 0. So first, for x plus 4 equals 0, all we have to do is subtract 4 on both sides, and we get x is equal to negative 4. Now, for negative x squared plus 5x minus 20 equals 0, well, first off, we have a negative sign in front of x squared, so I'm actually going to get rid of that by multiplying both sides by negative 1. So I get x squared minus 5x plus 20 is equal to 0. And now, to solve this, I'm going to use the quadratic formula, which is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So in this case, a is 1, b is negative 5, and c is 20. So I get x is equal to negative of negative 5 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is negative 5 squared, which is 25, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 20, all over 2a, so 2 times 1. And this is equal to 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 80 over 2, which is equal to 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 55 over 2. Now, this is equal to the square root of 55 times the square root of negative 1 over 2. And the square root of negative 1 is equal to the imaginary number I. So I get 5 plus or minus the square root of 55i over 2. So this is two more solutions to this equation. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and share this to any of your friends and family.